whatever milestones that Black people make against hate, it ends up benefiting all the other people of color. I can't see what his end game is. The Republican Party is the party of racism, is the party of white supremacy, is the party of hate. This is wrong, and it needs to stop.
Everybody wants to go back and drag that piece of history up, but they don't want to go back and deal with what their ancestors did to the indigenous people and to Black people in this country. You got to go. And you got billionaires talking about going to space and Jeff Bezos. Go! Never come back. I hope you get lost. This man has lost his mind.
Boom! Come on, girlfriend. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, and I host the only online show in the world, co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. It's also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And it's Saturday night, July, not even July. I'm trying to push the summer away, June 11th. And no better place to be around 9 o'clock Eastern time on a Saturday night than checking out State of Things with Aisha and Jill. So let's bring Jill Jones and Aisha K. Staggers to the stage. What's going on, ladies?
Hey, hi. How are you?
Hey, what's been going on?
Oh, wow. A lot for me.
Oh, yeah. Well, definitely. Well, we'll get into the, I guess, the crazy stuff, but what's been going on with you, Aisha?
Just feeling better every day. Yeah, there's still obviously some soreness and pain, but I can sit upright.
Good. Very nice.
I can sit upright, and I'm back to taking calls and replying to text messages and stuff and getting to feel like my normal self. So
great.
Well, that's good to hear. We're very happy to hear that. Ms. Jones, you weren't with us last week. Where were you?
I know. I was in Minneapolis, and, actually I was on the plane headed home during the time I think you guys were airing. So I didn't really have, I thought about trying to figure out how can I tune in at the airport, whatever. But actually I may have not. I think I was still doing stuff when I got in. I was tired. I actually got in early. So anyway, I had a really good time in Minneapolis. It was a whirlwind. I went in on Thursday and just did a panel with Andrea Swenson from the Current TV, or she used to be at the Current. Now she's an independent journalist doing other things. But they had her hosting this segment.
From the Purple Current.
No, it used to be something called the Current. It wasn't print centric. She's a local journalist. Like there's another woman called Robin. She was from Channel 24 or whatever in Minneapolis. So there were a few people that now come on board and help push this through. And it was really great. It was like the audience was fantastic. I met so many different fans that were lovely. And, it was just great. It was just nice to share that moment about Prince and different working things that we did because we were in Paisley Park at the studios, and just sort of bring back little memories and tell stories about what happened there locally. And even there was a point where the lights dimmed at a point, like it was like a charge in the electrical, and people were like, that was him commenting or showing whatever I was saying, because God, you guys know I say some things. And he had to chime in like always. He couldn't resist. It was really very bittersweet and lovely to be back. Really, they also, with people being able to go to Paisley Park now, there are panels like that from a lot of people who worked with him, from engineers. You can go into the studios now, put on headphones, hear tracks that were with broken down songs that you have always heard, fully recorded and mixed and mastered. You can go in and now maybe hear some of your favorite songs in their reductive mode, like even just like 2 tracks, 4 tracks. I think that, to me, if I was a fan of anybody, it would really be interesting to hear, the goings on of a backing session or the licks in between, if they cleaned them up, if they didn't, how it's sitting in the mix. That's one of the exciting things that they have going on. And then they have something else called the immersive experience, which is sort of that traveling museum, which is headed over to Chicago right after last week. So,
wow, okay.
A lot of people left and went there. So yeah, that's they got him back out on the road, I think, a little bit. No, it was fantastic to see, and everything that he's accomplished. And it's, vegan. You can't eat any meat on the premises. Got that back down. Like, I love that they stick with some of his as they should. So yeah, lovely.
So, well, before we continue on with the conversation, Jen is saying, hope everyone had a good week. T-La says, hey, y'all, looking good. That's it. You still got us on your big screen, T-La? Just want to make sure.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yes, and hey, y'all, Blue Rains.
Hey.
And T-La says, happy belated birthday to Prince. My beloved mom is a Gemini as well as my mother-in-law. They are a handful, but brilliant and beautiful people.
True. Very true, but that's a lot.
Oh my goodness. Jill, I have a question for you, and I want you to talk about, what was your first, when was the first time you went to Minneapolis, and what was that experience like?
It was July 12th, 1982.
Wow.
Yeah. It was my birthday the day before, so I left the day after.
Come on.
And then he had a little get together for me, and that was it. And yeah, I remember going. That was one of the questions in the panel, because it was really just vast farmland. It's got a lot more, like Prince sort of like he built that city. He brought a lot of commerce there, and the possibility of other people to see it more than what it was. There were just cows there, and maybe a little hotel on a very sleepy 2-lane highway. And now it's like expanded, and it's just so different. And I was just like, oh my God. But people still figured it out. Like, a friend called me later because she went, and she goes, even with it being all built up, she's like, oh my God, I got to give you so much credit for being able to stay out there in the woods, basically. They were like, I was like, well, I'm kind of a country girl anyway. There's tons of lakes. But yeah, I went, and it was just, Minneapolis will always have a special place in my heart, because those were my stomping growing years. My young years. That was it.
Cool. Hello, Tamara. Hello from Texas.
Hey.
Tila says, yes, you're all on my big screen. I sent you a picture from the last show. You see your email box. I didn't see, like, you got to tell me what email address it's from, because maybe I didn't recognize it. So sorry, but I'd love to get that picture. And if there's any way you can send it to me right now, and maybe we can put it up during tonight's live conversation, that would be very cool. That is great. Jill, what was there any special moments last weekend that you said, yeah, I'll never forget this moment? Was there anything like that at all?
Yeah, I think, being able to be back and talk about it, to know that the stories that we hold are really key to so many people to get it right and to understand my point of view, my dynamic with him. And I think that the more people that come and do it, I think it's important to see the dynamics and I think in a way many of the fans can start, after what they've gathered from what they know from Prince's music, and even without knowing him all the time, some of them are really spot on about his personality. So I think intuitively they start to see the dynamics with people, and then they go, oh, she was a pain in the ass, or he really helped get this done, or they had their things, but they worked it out, or this one was such a fabulous link for him. I think it's important. It's a well-rounded view of how many relationships he managed. And I was also really looking at how we worked really hard in those days to remove the labels and the labeling of things. There were images, but they were on your image, and what you conveyed as a presence was your presence. It would have a label attached, like, hi, I'm here because I'm from the, from the nerd union of the such and such, and I'm a nerd, and those things were, if anything, we were more about creating this lovely world where everybody was kind of welcome and blended and wanted to be together. And I find that in today's environment in the arts, everybody is broken down to a page on, in a brand meeting. And it's a label. It's like, well, I had this disease, and then I grew up impoverished, and everybody's got a hitch to, the beautiful thing about Paisley Park and looking at all of the people who came there just to see what was coming from them in their hearts, and that they really adored this man. And he put them through a lot of things too, when he started selling his, made everything private, or would come back and take their stuff down. I mean, he did, and so many people, it's going to be interesting. The bank is out of the mix at the end of the year, so we will see how it changes and evolves. And let's hope that the politics in Minnesota and Minneapolis pay respect to Prince Rogers Nelson and don't clown, as they have a long way to go, and they have to remember many things, the state of Minnesota, because they're reverting into something that I don't even know if he would recognize. Because in the midst of all the really horrible things that happen, you have this sort of like little mini utopia. Nice. That wanted to be a utopia.
Nice.
So, I enjoy it. I've yet to get back there in the wintertime. That's you guys' territory. You all in your winter.
No, and Minnesota is even worse than Connecticut, so I definitely would not go in the winter.
But he lived in Toronto before, so that's why it was nothing for him to live there.
Yes.
And
he did live in Toronto before.
And he liked it a lot, from what I hear. Loved it. And I love Toronto too. That's what's so funny. Love, love, love Toronto. Could live there in a second.
Well, not in the winter.
I love the winter there. I don't mind winter landscapes. I miss it. I kind of miss it a lot, being out here. I do love it. I think it's important to feel change happening. People in LA get a little lost. Like, what year is it? It's like, it's over. That's done. You can't be. They know your ice skating career is not going to happen, or your, movie career is not working. Yeah, it's nice to feel the seasons pass. You can get it more up north in California than you can down in Southern California, and that is why sometimes I think the further south you go, you might meet a little more demented people in California. And in the West period.
Okay.
I don't miss the winter time. However, we did have a day last week that was hotter than my dad in South Carolina. It was like 92 or 93 degree day.
What?
And then the next day it went down to like 66, 69, but it was like in the 90s for that one day.
Oh, we're having heat waves over here. So yeah, in the hundreds.
But it never gets, from the last few years, it never gets cold in California. It's always heat wave I'm hearing about.
Yeah, not really cold at all. Wow.
It's just like it's always hot.
Yeah. And that's the problem. So it becomes a bit of a drag, a little boring. And, I love seeing people dress up and wear like hats and scarves and gloves. And I love that. I love that whole ritual, So
there wasn't much of that when I lived down south.
Yeah.
I think I did miss that part of it. But then again, on the flip side, I liked not having to bundle up to leave the house every day. But like you said, you trade something off because
Girl,
people
I
there
think
are
people need to be, it's true. I think people need to be, they need to legalize where people can wear bulletproof vests and shit, because that should be, and get some RoboCop outfit gear to head out the front door. Because the gun stuff, it ain't going to change. So I guess they just better let us suit up like we're in Fallujah, and have our cars start looking like big old Hummer things, because it's just really, we should make it look as what it is. It's actual war. It's hell. And we should show it for what it is to the rest of the world. And I think the rest of the world is seeing that. And I think we're even suffering with some trade issues because the rest of the world is seeing what they're seeing.
So Tila is saying you're spot on, Jill. Up here in the Bay Area, it's like different state compared to Southern Cal. And we've got those microclimates up here too. We do get a breeze. LLL.
Like around the Lake Tahoe area and Sacramento area has so many little pockets of little creeks you can jump in, even like around Petaluma. I don't know if you want to jump in there, but like there's just some real pockets of really nice areas. The only thing is ain't nobody can afford nothing to live in it anymore. It's so expensive. Although I just read an article that that things are starting to take an interesting nosedive. So we'll see.
We have areas like that too, like that have like lakes and things, and they take our lakes and turn them into state parks and all that. But we have the areas where those lakes are so beautiful and so expensive. I saw a 2-bedroom house for $500,000 just because it was by the lake, and the house was ugly as sin.
Considering a lot of these places are going to displace people if global warming, climate change keeps happening. I mean, Lake Tahoe area, what's so special about it is it's like a little alpine village. There are houses that are really kind of run down. Some of them look very 70s, some more a little modern, but very rustic. But you could think that you're a little bit in Bavaria just for a split second if you kind of can see the real rustic nature of it. And people forget, when you live in those regions, it's really literally an hour just to get up to the mountains. If you want to experience snow for your Christmas holiday or Thanksgiving, you go up, you rent a little house, and that's actually cool to do. You can come back down. But Sacramento and San Francisco, they can get hot as you know what, blazes.
Okay. Let's get back to our conversation. But Jill, would you go back again to the Paisley Park event next year if they have it?
Yeah, I think I would definitely go back.
Good stuff. So what we're going to do is we'll get to our main form of conversation. But I got something that was just sent to me titled From My Home to Your Home. So Tila, there we go.
Oh, wow,
that was from last week. That
is so brilliant.
That was so that was from the conversation last week. So she is actually watching us on the big screen. So that was from last week's conversation. So Tila, thank you for sharing that.
So nice.
So on the big screen, and she goes, yay. So she goes, look at y'all. All right. So thank you so much for sharing that and sending it to me in real time. I thought that was wonderful. Let me just get it down here. All right. Well, let's get probably the main conversation topic in America last week.
Let's get the cracking.
Let's get cracking. Let's cracking. So January 6th hearings. Who wants to go in first?
You know what? At first, it felt a little slow to start until they started showing the video. That's when it like really sucked you in. But at first, I was kind of like, okay, they got a Hollywood director to do this, and there was no like, boom, video first, then the talking. At first I was telling my daughter kind of like, they got a Hollywood director for this. And then when they started showing the videos, it was definitely much more compelling, because I think you tend to forget what that day was like when you watch videos on the news now, because they turn off the volume. They show they don't show the chaotic clips. They show clips where you can recognize people, and they'll circle and they'll talk over everything. But just seeing those clips again and hearing how loud it was and rowdy, and seeing just, the chaos that was there, it reminds you that, yeah, there's a reason that we're having these hearings, and that this is important, because this shouldn't have happened. No one should breach the Capitol building at all. And I thought Liz Cheney did a great job. Now, mind you, someone on Twitter had said, a Democrat said, I was so impressed by Liz Cheney, I went and donated to her campaign. My response was, I wouldn't go that far, because she's still a Republican and still voted almost 100% of the time with Trump and the policies there. But she did her job here. I think that's the most important takeaway, is that when you look at that panel of people, they were doing their job, period. There wasn't any kind of division. There was, look, this happened and it shouldn't have happened. And everyone on that panel, you could feel that they all got it, that they were all in unison and had the same thought about what occurred on that day. And so I thought that overall it was very informative and very compelling.
Well, for me, I was reading about that whole Hollywood director thing. I don't even know what that is, and I haven't even really paid attention. When I hear Hollywood, I think it's just a disgruntled Republican, as Marco Rubio, which is like, bitch, you're the one, you need to never speak again. You took how much money for gun measures? The two should not mix. It's like, for me, just because you're Republican and we had Uvalde and that was the category there, you still have not been allowed back to the table. So I'm shocked when he's allowed to be able to, or any of them are allowed to be given any press, any of it, because it's disgusting. Marco Rubio, you suck, and you're a traitor, and you're a pansy. You are a bitch. You are a bitch. It's like, I don't even know what's between your legs, but it's just ridiculous. It's insanity. I don't know what's in between your ears, but all I know is you'll be anything someone tells you to be when they're handing out your fucking money. I can't stand him. He's like, people are talking about tripping about those earthworms up in Connecticut. He's a worm. He's a worm of a human being. And then he gets to come back and front I'd be like, who is you? You want to talk about Hollywood paid what? Who is you? Because you will suck off anybody for a nickel. And people need to stop with giving him any credibility. The man's a joke. He got the most. He has made the most from gun donors. We're talking, his family or whatever, his mamacita or whatever, all of those Cuban, whatever family members, they can make a lot of Cuban sandwiches off a little Marco Rubio. I'm sorry. He's a disgusting, I can't stand him. So he should not be allowed to speak. I thought that where they were going, the setup, which I think basically it might have seemed a little slow, because I took little notes, which meant this is the outline of what, what the expectation is, what you can expect as the viewer. These are the points we're going to touch. I think we see so many visuals all the time without a setup, that I think that these things are killing us with it, because it makes us immune. I think that the fact that we see people exploiting their kids 9, 10, 20, 30 times, million times a day on Instagram or whatever has desensitized us to the fact that these are little human beings that just got mowed down. We are so in this, we are allowing people to insult people's children Blue ivy and all. I'm sure they'll be fine. But this is where we are allowing this disgust. These are our children. You know, there's a clown act singer, Santiago, or whatever, this thing that I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just rolled into what. It looked like it wears something from, it's like it's some entity from some Star Wars movie. You know, no one wants to know if somebody's gender fluid, gender this. How about when you just don't know and nothing, and when you're just dirt, when you're just rolled up pieces of dirt that say horrible things about children. We just had people killed, little children mowed down. And then you have this little, you know, chocolate turd looking man dressed as a woman with a bunch of nails and stuff coming out about people's kids. I find it disgusting. And we have to stop this. We have to nip it in the bud. They should not be selling records or whatever, because for me, the commission is about what they've been doing with showing the violence, disturbed the hell out of me. When Donald Trump had said that he thought that Pence deserved it, which there are people that will apparently come and have proof that he said he deserved, maybe he deserves it. I mean, we saw his tweets. This is such an important radical thing that's happening. And 20 million, how they say, it got 20 million viewers. Hillary's Benghazi got what, 4 million. This 20. So Fox can go bury its head up, you know, their old taxidermist boss, his dusty behind, and pretend they're not doing. They watching, because your viewers are watching, and there's no way that any decent human being would defend what we saw those police and Capitol Police go through. And only thing that I really regret is that they were not given the permission to shoot everybody who stormed the Capitol. That for me was the most horrible thing, that they didn't get to have more Ashley Babbitts on the ground.
You know, there's something that I hope that it didn't get by people when you heard it. Jared Kushner admitted to running around looking for all those damn pardons. He said he didn't pay attention because he was focused on getting the pardons.
Exactly.
It's like, wait a second. How many pardons were you working on? And how many people needed them? One of the things we're going to find out over the course of this is how many Republicans in the House requested pardons. That's what Jarrett was working on. He was helping to get these people who were obviously instrumental in helping to plan pardons. That right there, when he said that, at first I was kind of like, wait a second, did I hear what I think I heard? And a lot of the news organizations didn't refer to that point. I heard someone yesterday say, you know, that Jarrett was going around getting these pardons. He admitted to it, and I'm like, okay, good. So I did hear it, because that's going to be telling. But for you don't seek out or request a pardon if what you're doing is legal. Period. Pardons are for people who have committed criminal acts. Okay? So these were not some innocent people there. I thought that was interesting. Also, too, the other part of Jarrett's testimony that was kind of flippant was the fact that he's like, yeah, but they were whining about quitting every other. Attorney generals don't quit like that, you know, or threaten to quit like that unless some illegal stuff is going on that they don't want to be a part of. You know, it's like, it was so nonchalant coming out of his mouth, but these were some really alarming things, disturbing things. Even when Bill Barr, the testimony from Bill Barr, where he's like, yeah, I thought the whole election stolen thing was bullshit. It's like, wait a second. It's like, these are things I'm glad the committee has heard and has collected and put forward. But I kind of wish that they had put this out there last year when they started coming together, because these are things that really were shocking pieces of information that the American people needed to know, not collect. It's kind of like Maggie Haberman from the New York Times with, withholding all this information and now giving all these explosive tell-all things because she has a
She's about as
footnote.
useful as a
She's
pair
the
of
worst.
platform shoes.
Yeah,
It's like I can't stand her, you know.
yeah.
Let me just get some comments here. Tila saying, and he thought the White House counsel's threat to resign was whining. Poor robotic Jared. Paul is saying, when you were discussing Kushner, that's not even something he should have been doing. That's the
Exactly.
responsibility of the someone at the DOJ. Tells you how much that administration was destroying protocol.
Destroying protocol. There was no protocol. They
No.
made it up as they went along.
And they
Every
did.
little thing that they did. It's like, granted, the Constitution, and I'm sure there's like some kind of manual for the person who comes to be president. Hey, these are the things that you can do. This is who's in charge of what. And Trump didn't read. We know he didn't read. His aides have said he didn't read anything. So basically, he just went in there and winged it for 4 years.
Yeah, he and Ivanka are trying to figure out how to play it really safe. She threw Dad under the bus, which
she did.
She does. But let's keep it. Everyone was after the media. Oh, well, I can't believe it. Let's just hang on now. Mm-hmm. Hang on to our boots. That's just how she does it. And if you give that girl, let's put it this way, if he'd have overthrown it, Vanki would have had no problem moving back in. So she's one of those girls. They're no different than some of the Russian oligarchs' girlfriends that they have sitting on a yacht going, okay, well, are we going in now? Okay, whatever. Those women that control by staying quiet. And you think they don't get into the fray of the arguing and the passion of it all. They don't care. But what they are good at doing is getting out of trouble and making it look like these men, they just do what they do. And I believe Mr. Barr. I was like, okay. It was like play the little girl card in a way. And boy, was her and Jared. I was like, how much time did they spend on there getting their faces beat in the morning? I mean, and that light. Yeah, all that. I mean, they almost didn't even look like they had noses. I mean, they had so much white light on them.
The Kardashians' makeup artist before
they were looking like a Voldemort. Both of them had the Voldemort nose. I was like, what the fuck? What's happening? So that took me at a gasp. After I caught my breath, I was like, ooh. They spend a lot of time on some craziness, and it's such a tell. It is such a tell about what they gonna do to old Donnie.
Yeah.
Donnie, even though they said he was on Parler or wherever trying to make excuses for Vanki, it was like, I don't know, son. It looked like she threw you and she about to throw you some more. Because Vanki's like, look, I got a husband and I got 3 kids and I just want to go to some damn social parties for the season.
And at the Hamptons this summer.
And then let me try to redeem my reputation, and hell, I'll run for president. She'll say whatever too. She knows how the game is played. That's the interesting thing about successful people. They've been watching the game so long. Not successful people, rich people in that world. They just know how to get over. They've been watching their parents manipulate people forever, and they're very good at it themselves. But and I don't know, Jared is like a robot. It's like, did they put a chip in him? He wears more Botox than her.
But
Tila says LMAO, chill LMAO.
But what's so funny is that I didn't see it so much as her really throwing her dad under the bus.
Right. I just believe
like she could have said far worse, and I'm waiting to hear far worse. And I think that part will come out if her dad flips on her and starts going off.
It's not like my family. If they threw me under the bus, they threw me. And there were some harsh words that you're like, damn, wow, I want that family display. Yeah. I want
that's what I want
them to be low down. Let's just go for it. But they're I don't know if they will, but we need to see that back drama.
Yeah, because the question, that was the other part of it too. one of the questions I'm waiting to see answered is why Jared gave the excuse about running around to get pardons. But remember, the pardons come from the president. So he had no but he said he had no contact with Trump that day. So I want to know the real reason why Jared and Ivanka did not show up to where he was watching the insurrection with, like people said, with glee on his face. I want to know, why weren't you really there? Tell that story, because my understanding is that they knew about some of this planning and were like, yeah, we're not going to go.
Well, they totally have known about it. I think we know that they know. But, Donnie is on his last legs, and that's just what it is. They're going to give them a pardon. They'll be back in high society, flying high again. Because here's the other thing. The one good thing about this hearing, I think, is we kind of get to hear a little bit of the removal of what the noise is from the media, which the media should pay attention, because, even though Bill Barr was saying one thing, there were posts like insider says such and such. See, a lot of that stuff has got to go with the media now. If you get a scoop, it better be freaking for real, and people need to be, it better hold weight, because the media was just throwing stuff around about Bill Barr and then Mike Flynn, and then there's people meeting. Well, the reason people were running to his office night and day was because they knew this was going to jump off. They just knew it. And, and then, what I really don't understand is Mike Pence, because I would be face fresh number one on TV and screen all over, talking about how this man tried to have me lynched in the Capitol. You couldn't even, would have had to pay me on the back end, Trump, because I'd have been singing like a bird, singing, sing. That was uncalled for. And that was really treacherous. And that solidified my belief that they knew about Khashoggi dying. And these people there is no inch of anything decent in this person. Like, I was like sitting there saying, wow, he's like the devil incarnate. Like, he really is. This is one dude. I think he's worse than what anything John Gotti ever did. In fact, I'm wondering if he did stuff and pinned it on them. I mean, I honestly think that he's worse than any mobster or anything that we've ever had. The only thing is, I don't even know. I mean, he might even be as bad as Jeffrey Dahmer. I don't know what that man eats for dinner. I mean, it's really, they projected so much stuff about Hillary, and, all it has made me think, like, wow, this dude was willing to go the gangster mile, to upset the entire country, world, if necessary, to retain power. And, it's like, what do you have next? A duel? Because that's the only way that we need to solve the next election if Donald Trump is running in it. They're going to have to duel or something. This just doesn't make sense.
It's not just that he wanted to retain power. It's that he wanted to retain power to hide some stuff that he was doing. But this is the whole thing of it is that, because
he wanted the power because he likes the feeling of the power. This is somebody whose father was incredibly horrible to him too. Can you imagine to be able to look at that old scarecrow whisker dad that he had that looked like, I mean, his dad and his mother both, but to look at them and go, wow, I am the president of the United States of America. I am the son that you didn't bet on. It's all psychologically messed up. He wanted the power because if he could have flipped that, he was a dictator, and he could, do what Vladimir Putin did. And, see, this is what a lot of people forget. Like, oligarchs are not businessmen. Oligarchs are Vladimir Putin's best friends that got appointed into positions and given this money to hold. And a lot of that money belongs to Vlad. So that's the setup. That's all these people. People wonder why the senators were sitting there like, yeah, what can I do? Well, the deal was, if we help you turn this bitch over, you can appoint me the head of, oil or whatever. And that money, that is how it is. That's the protections. And once you have that devotion and you've turned some scrapey, doo-doo print looking senator into a billionaire, oh, you've got everything. You've got smudge stained, Lindsey Graham. We saw his head turn around like The Exorcist, and Mitch McConnell. They were like,
I'm sure
I don't think he's great, but yeah, okay, he just offered me, I can have a position. This is why this was so dangerous and deadly.
Well, I'm sure he wanted the power, but I think by the time 2020 rolled around, after that first impeachment hearing, when things that he tried to cover up were starting to come to light, for example, the conversation between him and Zelensky, I think it became even more. There was an even bigger thing in him that needed to win. I think it's like with some of his other bids, like when he's about to get to a point where he's going to be go into bankruptcy, he starts doing all these what do you call it? All these flourishes and things and throwing parties, and it just to kind of take away from the focus being on that. There are things that are coming to light now that,
but nobody cares on his fringe. That's the whole dynamic that we have here. He's tainted it so much that he excelled in the aspect, I could shoot anybody on Fifth Avenue and no one will care. He succeeded in that. And we will not budge his people ever. They are devoted. They will die with him. This is why he was never covering up stuff. In fact, he volunteers his information, but he volunteers it with his spin, and they believe it. And then it gets worked in the media.
It's interesting.
I think his fear was that was prosecution.
Nobody's had any. We have not arrested any of his people.
No, we haven't. But there was always
if there were consequences, then of course he would be wanting to hide. But why is Giuliani walking around free? Why does that man still get to put his false teeth in his head every goddamn day without a guard looking at him? It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, now who wasn't watching this obviously yet.
No, they dismantled the part of the system that had the checks and the balances. And unfortunately, I don't even know how they're going to piece any of it back together. Donald Trump knows that Merrick Garland is weak. By the time he gets around to it, I mean, everybody can get excited over the little bitty things that Merrick Garland is doing. I personally only look at the hearing and go, gee, I would have been up out of my seat in a second trying to figure this stuff out, and just putting people in a dog pen if I had to figure out who started this mess.
Merrick Garland, though, like I said, he probably was in bed by 6:30 and had to hear about all this on Friday.
So just to catch up here, Paul Katz, if we have the three of you have not read Mary Trump's book, it's essential. It's not some juicy takedown. She comes at the family and Donald from a psychological perspective. So important. Renata Horton says, hi, Jill and Aisha.
Hey there.
Hey, Renata.
And Blue says, and Julianne is out here on the mass world of care in the world.
And that was a Fox TV show. I don't know why people mess around with Fox. I do not watch anything on Fox. I just don't have my time. They may not even be connected anymore.
He was on the Masked. He was on the Masked Singer.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You're kidding me.
Oh yeah,
that's why they walked off.
It was just like their Sean Spicer. Remember, he was on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why Dancing with the Stars probably ain't on anymore. So many people were just like disgusted. Like, I am not. Oh, this is where we are. Like in our political life now. That these guys are going to then be rewarded with shows and TV things. No, bye.
Did Dancing with the Stars.
I'm not hearing anything from 45 supporters over the last week. Though I heard what's the guy's name? McCarthy was saying, well, how come they don't do these sort of panels live on TV in regards to inflation?
Oh, he's an idiot. He shouldn't talk either because the gun situation is on his head too. They've been trying to distract people about that. How about we go back to the beginning of the inflation? They actually think this thing just came out of nowhere in the middle of a silo. You had a presidency that didn't know what they were doing, an administration. God help us. We don't know what the hell they did. Did anybody answer a phone? Did anybody get business done that wasn't trying about how can we take over? Was the real nuts and bolts of running a country actually happening? I don't think so. They were grooming and greasing people and corrupting them. And then basically have all of these corporations turning everybody and making us hostages. It's a feudal system. I don't care what you people say. It
but
is.
If you go back, though,
but they're not kings and queens. And
No,
they
but you
should
go
remember
back-
what happened to Marie Antoinette.
Yeah, but 50 years ago, think about it. 50 years ago this year, the inflation situation happened because of something very similar with an American president, with like Nixon. Like after Nixon
It
left,
was the same thing,
with
but
Ford,
they don't adhere to that.
It went sky high. Who paid for it was Jimmy Carter.
Yes, they don't
and
acknowledge
that's where
it.
we are right now, is that there was an American president, a Republican president, who did some real shady stuff that we haven't even yet to see even half of it.
No.
And it's landing on the desk of the current president. If only, I would love to see all the things that we're not allowed to see right now about how he mismanaged this country.
He
I'm
didn't
sure-
have the staff. Remember the staffing. How many?
Right.
60% of the White House was not even staffed.
And
So
those
that
people
should
that
tell
were
you right
staffed were
there.
interim. He
So
did all
it's
the-
like, yo. But see, Republicans and Americans, in a way, aren't very smart people. And they don't connect dots, and they don't want to because they're so self-righteous and entitled. In a way, it's like, I'm sorry that there's no baby formula, but get your titties out. And hopefully you didn't stuff them all with like a bunch of silicone that you can't breastfeed anymore. I'm sorry. Find a way. You know, there were times my grandmother told me stories where they used rags and used different things to, you know, for a baby's mouth. Go do something. This is not the end of the world. You can figure it out. But that's how America is. Oh my God, quel dommage, you know. Oh, après. But you know, Donald Trump was like Louis XIV. After me, the flood. Après moi, le déluge. Which actually his mistress said to him because she was not projecting. She knew his personality. After me, the flood. And Trump was like that. So y'all cannot tell me what, you know, this dude ordered burgers for people when they came to the White House and yet just had no class, tacky as hell, tried to take over the Treasury, tried to take over the bank, the bank. What more do we need for you to be worried about inflation? Mitch McConnell, you weren't worried about it before. Hey, how about you and your wife whose family owns shipping things? Did they ever work it out? Did they get there? Because she made sure she did some nasty deeds before she resigned. If I'm not mistaken, we know for a fact 300 ships in China are set to go out. But we also had a pandemic. And certain people, it reared its head again in China, whatever. The lack of patience from American people, it's actually disgusting. And it's impacting the way the rest of the global world is seeing us. In fact, I was reading something about Switzerland and France and different countries have been kind of looking at things after Uvalde. They don't like that we don't want to do anything about the gun violence. Remember, Trudeau flew over and had a meeting with some of the other ones in Europe. They all are a little bit beside themselves because maybe because they just don't want the vibe. And then this other fake stuff coming from things like Americans are trying to go overseas and travel at the moment. No, they're actually not. No, not really. Not the Americans that should be going places to understand how things work.
So,
but ain't nobody want them.
Quick comment from Tila saying, next up, Giuliani will promoting runny hair dye. Remember that? Chuckle.
Yeah.
God, I'm surprised he's not drinking it every night.
Well, you know, one of the reasons, I mean, you know,
I think that's his damn problem.
Go ahead, Aisha. Before I fall off the chair, go ahead.
You know, Kevin McCarthy, though, and Mitch McConnell, they have very specific reasons for saying, oh, why aren't we having hearings on this? That's because Kevin McConnell, I'm sorry, well, they might as well be the same person. Right. Kevin McCarthy doesn't want people to focus on those tapes of him, those conversations that he had, which are going to come out. He's trying to deflect from that, because those things are going to come out about him saying that Trump was wrong and this and that, and he won't be able to kiss the ring anymore. So he's worried about that. Mitch McConnell is worried about the stuff with his wife, because it will come out.
She's another Jenny.
Why?
She's another Jenny Thomas.
Yes, she is. Why did she resign? Remember, the talk at the time was that all the people in his cabinet that were going to call for the 25th were resigning, and she was one of them. Yeah. Her and Betsy DeVos, within 24 hours of each other, resigned. So it makes you it's a distraction. Keep your eye on the ball. Guess what? This whole baby formula shortage, apparently people knew about it.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Did not tell Biden, which makes you wonder. Biden needs to go clean house.
He does, because he still had some of those old dead weight.
He still has some people who were working in the Trump administration. Those are the people who did not tell him. So it's not like this was something that Biden did, that we now have this baby formula shortage. No, there were people who knew, who just didn't tell the information. And remember, that's been the challenge of the Biden administration since they went in, was people not telling them all the information that they needed to know. So expect more people to distract. Jim Jordan, he's one who's going to be distracting, because you know what? Don't be surprised when it comes out that he was one of those people who asked for a pardon.
Well, we got to get rid of McCarthy out here. We know that Marissa Wood, she won the Democratic nomination against House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy on June 9th. She also said, after we went through this, she was like, he will sell his mother's soul in order to protect his own political career, because now he's saying he might testify. It's like, no, we've been new. We don't need you to testify. I'd actually think they start to say, this is what we got on UB, and we're going to put it out. Because actually, we all heard the video. We heard the conversation of Kevin McCarthy upset about Donald Trump. And then we knew that he left a couple of days after and went and had sex with him in Mar-a-Lago, and then he changed his mind. So, that's enough for me to be like, okay, let's write you off. You're done. Because then he started singing a different tune. And that goes
and
back
remember,
to
he told those things directly to Liz Cheney. So
directly.
he could try and say
the phone call.
Exactly.
There is a phone call. And then there's email that he sent. We saw it. So what I say about some of the dumpsters, it's like, if they're reading things and they don't see it, they're just not that bright. And I don't care to associate or even have conversations with those people. But what is more, because I know that there's billions of people in the world who are watching this and are shocked and appalled. And some are planning how to really twist their minds up. Some have really horrible. If we don't want more for our own country, then I don't know what we're doing here. I mean, we just had somebody in DeSantis' office who had to register as a foreign agent. Even he did, right? So It's like, why is this going on? I mean, what are you all trying to play games with? Right? It's white and black. It's very clear. Stop playing around in this gray stuff, because the gray matter is not existing here. It's really very simple. Right and wrong. Guns or no guns, get rid of them. End of story. It's just it.
So what's the lasting impact of this? Like, are there more televised hearings coming up?
Yeah, there's one on Monday that's happening during the day. They have another one, I think, scheduled for later in the week, in the evening.
It's too bad.
There's something like, apparently there's like I believe there's like 6 weeks of these things.
But what's so brilliant about this, Dr. Vibe, is they have put all of this forth. And even if the American people aren't going to get it now in their brains, there will be somebody who goes in and sifts through all this public information and going to make a hell of a documentary. Ain't nobody going to miss that money that's about to come, because this will be put by somebody, some wonderful craftsman who knows how to piece all of these things. And they're probably working on it already. They're going to have a hell of a documentary and bringing some stuff that probably, I was watching Catfish the other night, it's a show on MTV about people who catfish people online. And I was talking to my husband. He goes, why do people show up when this guy catches them doing it? And I said, yeah, I mean, to say like, yeah, I'm the woman pretending to be a man writing to somebody online. It's the lure of fame. It is the lust for having some kind of control. They can't resist. So even after all is said and done, the most diabolical things are still yet to come, because there will be people that will, not because it's the right thing to do to talk about what Donald Trump has done. There will just be people who want that celebrity or that attention to finally say, yeah, I knew he was like sleeping with that 13-year-old, but I just didn't say nothing.
Yeah. I think what we're seeing right now is what we saw was an overview to kind of remind people of where we were that day and put people back in the mindset of watching this thing unfold on TV and the disbelief. I think the next step is them bringing out all the dirt on all the people who were connected for us to see, wow, no wonder that person was acting that way because they did X, Y, and Z. I think because they're doing so many of them, they're deliberately going to unfold things. They want people to remember what that day was like. And then the next thing is, now these are the players that you didn't know about.
But I think the sentences were not blanketed enough. Number one, I think sedition. There's got to be a recommendation, as our new Supreme Court Justice speaks about things that are recommended. Isn't it 15, 20 years? I think that we've spent way too much time hearing these stupid stories from these stupid people who follow Donald Trump because they're just dumb, risking your whole life. You know, they're just dumb heads. So my whole point is, why do I care? They're going to have a few next week talking about, I don't really care about their sob story, that they're gullible, that they fall for every hook, line, and sinker that comes along in the world. Oh my God, it's amazing that they got this far in their lives in their 60s and they fell for this crap. What dumb men and the men. So I don't really care, but I still think that they needed, and the women needed, at least a 15-year minimum to be sitting in jail. I think a hard head makes a soft behind. If these people keep being so hard and their punishment does not match the crime, they'll do it again. But you get your life sucked away for 15 years sitting somewhere. I think it sends a loud message. You have to do some things. And this is where I'm seeing in the hearing that I don't think Merrick Garland and his team are tough enough. Just don't.
Yeah,
they put people in jail longer. Lauryn Hill and people for Wesley Snipes for tax violations. And these fuckers actually killed people and were a part of the collective that were responsible for the death of our Capitol Police. We put Angela Davis, when there was a situation when she was tried for 3 different felony crimes here in America. And until the time she went to trial, they had her in jail. So why is Ginny Thomas not in jail? Why is the one who's married to Mitch McConnell? All of these people, why are they out? The only reason is they have white privilege or some kind of other privilege. It's called elitist classism, and it needs to stop. They should have all been rounded up. If you don't have enough manpower, still just put them in jail and work through it with the people that you have. You don't give people time to go travel and go on trips. And we don't have time for more bleeding hearts. The benefit of the doubt, you got enough doubting Thomases who sit around walking around with all these conspiracy theories. Make it real. Make the punishment real. Bitch, you're going to jail. And they made sure that out of some of the guys who are from that whole collective who stormed the Capitol, go out, look at the black ones that had that was just stupid too. The black ones who decided, I'm going to storm the Capitol. Like, bro, you don't even know. They still in jail. They in jail. They didn't even get bail. I mean, that's how it is. And that's for real. So let's just cut to the chase. So for me, all this thing is showing is that it's not stiff enough. Clean the streets. Put people away. They should not be out. I don't care. Women who fly on private planes going like it's some freaking party need to spend 15 years in jail.
Yeah. They still have like 500 people that they haven't charged yet.
But it's called connectivity. You were a part. If we had the audacity to try Angela Davis based upon crimes that were committed by other people that she had nothing to do with and label her as a conspirator, then why are these people out? Why? It's because America still isn't dealing with its racism, and it needs to be dealing with it right now. Show me that you give a damn. Show me that you're making the steps to change, America, because right now you're treating these people with kid gloves, and it's not cool. And guess what? The rest of the world is looking and laughing because you clowning yourself if you don't get Merrick Garland to make a move. Everybody, he's planning out the moves for, like in Oklahoma. Bitch, this ain't Oklahoma. You know, that was a shocker when the bombing of an Oklahoma bomber and all of that. And, you know, snap out of it. This is called about mobility and maneuverability. And it takes you all how long to talk to? You know, you didn't figure out the Proud Boys was kind of a messed up junkyard of, I mean, their leader is like a guy who pretends he's Che Guevara.
You know,
and doesn't know fascists from anything. They got it all twisted up, guys. It's all twisted up. And then there's another guy that at least, wait, one quick thing. The Elise Stefanik is supporting a guy in Congress who basically said, we need more men like Hitler just the other day. Why are we tolerating this? Why didn't somebody just go to his house and strip him of being in Congress anymore, wherever he is? Like, I'm sorry, you overstepped the line. Do we not have any lines?
No.
Fuck your free speech. Put that free speech on a rock, and let me tell you how free that's going to be. I'll write down everything you say and tell me if when that rock hits you in the face, is that free?
You know, this, what was it, 69 or 70 that the Chicago 7 got more time than any of the insurrectionists have, and they were just contesting the war, right? The Vietnam War. But you have these people who deliberately got in their traveling vessels and went to the Capitol. You have people who, I think, what was it, like 300 Proud Boys who weren't at the ellipse. They were already on the grounds ready to rush. And these people still were getting like 3-month, 4-month sentences, not like, you can threaten a member of Congress and get a longer sentence than these people got for breaking into the building to try and kill members of Congress.
Trying to say they were tourists.
Keep that in mind. And remember, any politician that says that they gave tourists a tour the day before needs to be suspect, because how did remember, they were like, these people knew what windows and things to breach.
They had maps.
They knew. Yeah, they had maps. They knew how to get in.
And guess what? Remember, they still haven't found out who dropped the bombs. There were 2 bombs. There was one over by Kamala Harris when she was having a meeting in a building. And there was another one with the one that has the 2 boy body senators that we have, MGT and that Boebert who can't spell, who still reads with her fingers. You know, it's like, it's just ridiculous. So they haven't even found that out. Now, for me, that's a real shakedown. Don't y'all know people on the street? But see, here's the thing. I think they do know who put that there. And that, about that bomb, I think they're keeping it quiet, because the fact, it must be, sorry, pardon the pun, it must be an explosive thing to find out who put it there. They haven't done it because I think that it would bring so much shame and egg on the face of what was going on in our government. And I don't think we'll ever know, because that they're protecting whoever that is, only because it's just like, holy shit, this person is on the inside. It's like the killer calling you and they're saying it's coming from the inside. Yeah. That's, you know, that's how bad it is. Yeah, and it must be somebody really high up. It has to be, because I just can't believe, you know, that they found passports in 9/11's dust and they can't find the bitches who put a bomb out. No, thank you. Well, we all know how they play that game. They could have come up with a better story for this.
But here's the thing about this. Understand, it's not going to change the minds of people who support Trump. it is really for an audience of one, and that one is not Donald Trump this time. That one is Merrick Garland, to give him the evidence to act on it. Because remember, Congress can't do any kind of criminal charge, any kind of criminal law enforcement. That's not their job. This is for the person who is at the head of our law enforcement division in this country to have the evidence. The assumption is that he will then take it and do something with it, have people arrested, hold trials. We just have a person here who isn't, it's like he's just not that interested in taking care of the country.
No, it's like he hasn't even dealt with what Ron DeSantis has done.
Yeah.
And Ron DeSantis is living, just as if he's Tony Montana in Scarface in his house, his mansion. It's like, okay, well, we got to do what the Colombians did with him in the middle of the night. Just like go in, like just do what you need to do. But if we're going to wait for this one, it's like, oh my God, Florida and Texas aren't even a part of America anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised that he had Pete Navarro arrested. And Pete Navarro's over there complaining. And they came to my house and they did this. They banged on the door. Well, that's what people do to criminals, right? That's how.
No, you should have talked to Manafort.
So Blue Rains is saying, I have no faith in Garland. He needs to go. Real Dango, I haven't heard from you in a minute. Hope you're doing okay. No. Free stupid speech. Hashtag shake SMH. Mm-hmm. So I was going to ask what impact this will have on the, but I'm going to defer that question till all of this is done. But I will say, if you are the Democratic Party, is this an opportunity to get this as a main part of your midterm campaigns to try to overcome what's going on with the economy and inflation?
Oh, I think they were a little shocked in the votes, though. I will say that the Dems looked pretty good in places. There were pockets that I know Katie Porter, we got to really pull it out for her, but they rezoned her. That's the part we've got to really that McCarthy and all these people are able to do this rezoning stuff. I don't appreciate it. And I think we got to get big money out of it, which we probably never will. And we got to deal with this gerrymandering thing, but they should have been shook a little bit. This election going on is showing that people are showing up for the Dems, and that's the ones that we just got to come out. That's just like we're in warm-up phase right now. We're gonna come. Even the independents are going to snap out of this because there is, the only interesting thing is we are seeing, because of crime and a little bit of that kind of stuff happening, people are voting more crime-wise conservatively, because crime did take a peak, and we didn't have the support in Congress for the progressives to make some of these changes in these states. So it all kind of fell apart. It just fell apart because also the police played a nasty game, which was like, we just won't show up. So America's been taken hostage a lot by many agencies here, and they took that out of the Trump playbook. So we have a big problem because we have police who don't want to be police, or they're too scared to be police. And I've been saying to you guys, if you're a policeman, it's almost like being a samurai. You don't go and treat it like it's a 9-to-5 job. It takes a certain type. Maybe we are ready for AI to be the policeman. Maybe we are ready for that, for machines to come to your house and those things that crawl and everything. They're going to be the only ones that are fearless to come after your ass. And I support it completely. So come on, people.
I honestly think that the only thing that would really change the election, the midterms on this issue, this January 6th issue, is if Joe Biden did something very radical, like fire Merrick Garland and put someone else in place who was really a hard ass and was going to go after people. I think that would, and then the Democrats in the House supported him on that, or pushed him to do that. I think that would have an impact here on their races with regard to the January 6th hearings. But honestly, I think our next conversation topic is one that if they continue to push on it, will be the one that makes the difference.
Okay, so because the success of it is not going to taste so sweet, even with Garland, because You have to understand this is somebody who has to have the passion for for America and seeing it clear, not somebody who's interested in just following it book by book. This is somebody who, by hook or crook, is going to work that Constitution over and over and out, which they did. They beat it down. But somebody now to shift the thinking on it, Merrick would do us all a favor if he just resigned, and really out of respect for the rest of us, and give it to somebody who has something to prove.
Yeah.
He doesn't have anything to prove. He's like isn't he like almost 85 too?
Well, he's also doing the consolation prize version of his job. He realizes that this isn't where he was supposed to be. And so because of that, it's kind of like he has some kind of resentment against the country for him not being in the Supreme Court. And he's doing his job. Like, he doesn't care about it because he doesn't.
And the Dems have no superheroes. We live in a time where people actually pay to watch Marvel superheroes. And what's interesting about that is when people start doing that, that means they're looking for that. That's why Trump was so successful at it. Dems ain't got nobody who rolls up with some swag. You know, that is like, we have, you know, Eric Swalwell, you know, does his best, and the girls have, but we have to really shake some cages and be the new Democrats in that respect. I mean, I'm an independent. Remember I told you guys, but I'm definitely trying to support this side of it. But for real, they got to roll up, and it's got to be, you know, the head of the Philippine party. Can you imagine? They won because the young people saw the dude on TikTok. These are the Marcos's son. Now, the Marcos weren't really great for her. I mean, what? You can run the same game on each generation if they're uneducated, by the way. So I was like, oh my God. And then I heard an announcer the other day, like, yes, the Democrats need to start running their stuff on TikTok. Wow, this is where it's come. You got to be concise, quick. And wow, is that where we are? Republicans got stuff running on TikTok. You know, also remember it's Chinese owned. So it's definitely supporting the overthrow of America. So of course, they're going to make sure that the Republicans look at what they just did to the Philippines. I couldn't believe I would have never voted for anybody from the Marcos family ever. Would you? But they did. No. The young people did that.
Let's move on to our next conversation topic. Before that, Real Dangle says Pence is a wimp. And then let's move on to our next.
He still thinks that he has a political career. That is why Pence has not shown up anywhere to do anything. He thinks he has a political career, and that political career means that he's going to get those Trump voters. He's very misguided in his thinking right now. And if he was a smart man, that wanted to stay alive, he would be swearing up right now.
Girl, he should have been worried when they were about to make rabbit stew out of his rabbit and put him up on the gallows, you know, because it's done. He's done. He's done.
And, all right, let's move on. Let's move on. Next conversation topic. Latest updates from Yuval. Who wants to talk? I know Aisha. I know you want to talk about. Go for it.
I'm not surprised. Part of me is not surprised that this is the way that it happened, but it's very disheartening. It's very saddening. It's very angering, the fact that those 19 police officers stood outside the door, and the newest revelation is that they knew that there were 12 or more kids alive in the classrooms and still did not go in. And that goes back to what Jill said earlier about, you know, what do we need to have people, even just our children, protected? It's like, you know what? Part of the job of being a police officer is knowing that you are going into danger. So if you have that kind of fear, then don't do the job. I mean, they never seem to have this fear when it comes to unarmed Black people.
And they let a homeless man drown out here or in Arizona
And
the other day.
I saw that
he wouldn't even jump in. He didn't even.
They literally just stood there and watched.
But there's a couple of things you got to remember. The IQ situation, they won't let people who have anything over in double digits or 100. If your IQ is above like 104, and that was in a Connecticut ruling that the Supreme Court rejected that case. It said the precedents, a guy had 132, 23, and they wouldn't hire him. And that was in the year 2000. So all of it is a buildup to it. There are people that, okay, you want to allow more guns on a street in the world, right? But then your police, there's so many guns here that the police are too afraid to act on it. Why would you? Duh. Okay, so what? They're supposed to be the police.
Right.
They're the authority. Okay, but now they too afraid to go in. It doesn't make sense. But hey, let's keep giving everybody more guns.
Right. And this is the thing for me. If you've ever been anywhere where there's a shooting, or you've like been in school, and I have been, when there was a shooting, you hear everything going on. You hear the bullets. You hear people scream. You know, they literally stood there and listened. These were babies. They stood there and listened to babies scream. And in hearing the testimony of one of the little girls was that he shot the teacher first. So now it was just these kids with this person who meant to do them harm. And they stood there. And the fact that this police chief now, who's also now city council,
is
so arrogant. So
Garland should have been there the next day himself personally. Merrick Garland should have been on a plane there the next day. The fact that he's not moved a fucking limb makes me sick. I hate him.
Yeah, but
my ass would have been, if I were, I'd be like, bitches, get my plane. We going. Like right now. And I would have been like, you're out, you're out, you're out. Remove them. And Abbott, move, or I'm going to set your wheelchair on fire, bitch. Because this is it. You have no authority. Strip these people. We are acting too gingerly. I don't know, you know. I'll tell you something. I can't even say it. I can't even talk about this topic because I am so angry. I almost can't even hear it. But I'll tell you one thing. I wish the worst for Governor Abbott's life. I hope he suffers as he is a dying old man.
What's worse is that,
and I hope every single policeman that went through that, I think that, you know, I hope it haunts them. Those screams, and believe me, we'll have to hear about a few of them who go and kill themselves, as they rightly should.
But here's the thing: the mayor is in charge of the police force. Okay, they fire him. That is a fireable offense. When it comes out that he gave the order for them to stand down and do nothing, and has basically no excuse.
They didn't seem like they were really trying to itch to do anything, though, Aisha.
No, they
were all a bunch of cowards, burrito-eating cowards.
But here's the thing: the mayor of any time
taco fucking
like
suckers.
Happens, let me tell you, I'm from a town that has gone through so many police chiefs in the last just year and a half because the mayor doesn't like the job. The mayor fires them, puts someone else in. At this point, this mayor is sitting here. He should fire the whole force. Fire everybody. Start from scratch and build
People
up.
in the town should have fired the whole force. People in the town should have walked in the business and said, get the fuck out. It's called people. We are the people, as Patti Smith said. We control them, not the other way around. On that note, like, you have people who went to the Capitol because they believed in something. Do people not believe in the lives of 19 kids? Clearly not, because they all did nothing and are doing nothing. That's nice, Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, but you know what's so crazy is that every time people look at you, they see an actor. And with actors, we never know what you guys are fucking doing or if it's real or if it's not. Give me a fucking break. They don't care. I'm sorry.
I
they
don't
should.
think that the people
When I saw the
quality
fathers
don't
going
care. I
off
have
on
to
their kids,
disagree.
it's like whatever.
I have to disagree on that. And the reason I say that is because one, it's a very small town, and for the number of people that were killed, it's kind of like the situation in Newtown. Newtown was very small. Everybody in that town knew someone who lost someone, and that is very.
But we allowed that idiot from InfoWars to stalk those families
they did
terrorize them.
And they went after him. But you got to remember the first couple of weeks.
It's just indecent, and we have indecent Americans who support it. Did they do that in the Netherlands? No, people in Germany. There was a school of kids that got killed. Never again. Guns. Getting a gun is a fucking 2-year process in some countries, but not here. Boneheads want to go and shoot up animals, varmints. These hillbillies down there pretending that they're hillbillies, the JR hillbillies, they're not.
For the people, though, in that town to go
Harvard-educated hillbillies. Yeah,
for
okay.
People in that town to go and storm the police, the police, I think that to expect anyone there to do anything more than bury someone for the first 3 weeks after this.
Or it's called don't show up to his meetings. It's called make him obsolete. Make him not the one. Get rid of him. Go to the voting board. We don't want him. He's out. Why? What is that? He's
because
out.
if their town is run like most American towns, that has to come from the mayor. It cannot come. It does not come from.
Well,
the
then
people.
go to the mayor.
People,
but first of all, where was Merrick Garland?
Vote the mayor out.
Where was Merrick Garland? You come down there with your team of people, and you get them a hotel, and you have them investigate. Hands on. Y'all can say what you want about Barack Obama's guy, that they didn't like him, but when he, what is his name?
Eric Holder.
Holder.
At Newtown, he was here
the
day before
happened.
The day before it happened.
Merrick Garland lives in Greenwich, Connecticut, guys. He's from Greenwich.
Yeah.
We don't need a leader who has family and love in Greenwich. If you catch my drift, that's retirement rich. I'll give a little bit here, and we're going to give to both sides.
So just catching up here.
It's one of the least crime-riddled areas in Connecticut, actually. It's very, very
so Renata is saying Governor Abbott has blood on his hands. Ted, quote, Eddie Munster, unquote, Cruz has blood on his hands too.
On
Real
their
Django
soul, though. They have it on their soul.
Real
Mark
Django
my
says,
word. They are marked.
Real Django says, burrito eating cowards. Jill. Loving it. And Basement Cox says, discussions like this aren't ever heard this visceral. We are so edited now.
Well, maybe we shouldn't be, because.
And B also says, as a Connecticut resident, Jill ain't wrong.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
All right. So we'll end off on this.
Might actually be new. So
we'll end off, and I guess it carries on from what we're saying here. The American House of Representatives vote for gun legislation that the Senate won't pass.
There were marches today about gun control, gun violence, all day today.
Yeah.
Across 450 cities participated.
Yes, I heard.
The worst part for us is that people are used to their guns, and they're more prepared to get, armed up.
Well,
but
this goes back to what I said last week about the gun laws should not be. If we're going to say everybody has a Second Amendment right to a weapon like that, then all the laws surrounding guns should be federal, not state. And what we have are these different state laws all over the place. So, for example, right after Newtown, our state they got rid of they put the AR-15 they made it illegal. It's done.
New York just signed something too, but they don't want to listen.
Yeah, they don't
want to listen.
We got rid of the sales of guns in the state, like the manufacturers, the protections that they had.
They're
they don't have them anymore.
Though. The red states are protecting them.
Yeah.
But if you vote red, you're voting for death. And if you vote for blue, you're voting for life.
Yeah. And for example, one of our gum manufacturers, I think one of the last ones that was here was, where'd it go? South Carolina, a red state, because there wouldn't be any restrictions. Now, for this going on in Texas, we're not going to see Governor Abbott or anybody do any kind of law in the state that would restrict those things. Not at all. Because why? They're doing this whole state law thing. I think that if it's a Second Amendment right that you're trying to protect, then the federal government should rule over that. That should not be something that an individual state can determine. No.
Well, and Real Dango is saying, yeah, that's right. My CT fam, my Connecticut family, always talking about that basement hacks. Well, it's going to be, I guess the legislation isn't going to go that far because obviously Senate ain't going to pass it. And then Tila is saying they cling to guns or religion. Quote, they cling to guns or religion.
But here's the thing about Schumer that pisses me off. He came out there, brass balls and all. We're going to have a vote. I want everyone to see how the people, in the Senate will vote. And then decides he's not going to do it because he won't have the votes. No, you do that. You do that on primetime TV, have all the stations cover it just like they did the January 6th hearings, and you make those people say, no, we are not trying to protect people. We don't care that 19 kids were killed, and before that, 10 people because of a white supremacist. No, we don't care about that. We're not protecting people. In fact, we're for more guns. You make them have to do that. You have those conversations, those debates over it, prime time where people can see it. Not on C-SPAN,
well, Abbott's
on
gone,
ABC,
for sure.
NBC, all of it.
Abbott is gone. We know Abbott is getting voted out. I know that is in the, because my guides have told me he's gone. He's gone, and that's why,
Real Django.
I shouldn't say I wish he should suffer because my guides don't like it when I say things like that. I should just say,
okay.
But there's something on the other side waiting for you, Abbott.
So Real Django is giving check marks to, and then Basement Hacks is saying it's such a strong statement. We definitely don't need anyone that needs to be about, quote, that life, unquote, residing and languishing in privilege in Connecticut. Rolling
that
eyes
life
into
is
oblivion.
clinging to guns and religion, right?
Yeah, rolling eyes into oblivion. Oh boy. Well, another conversation done, ladies. I'm telling you, it's never a quiet moment in your country.
No, it isn't.
Let me tell you the thing that look. Monday is going to be the next hearing.
Yeah.
The sad part to me is that it's going to be during the day. Because fewer people will be watching. Many fewer people will be watching.
More people in Europe, though, will be watching at this time.
Yeah. I think, but the American people that want to see it, that is the sad part of it. But again, like I said, it is for an audience of one, and I'm hoping that with this next one, they really dive into the planning of who knew what. And I don't want to just see video. I want to see some documents. Hold up those pieces of paper that you have, because I want to see every little bit of evidence that you have.
Well, they said that they have testimonies too. That was what the first part of everything was that you found boring, was the part of them saying how they're going to do this. Really, this was really a teaser. I think the real part of this is now coming, because we're in and I think people are going and finding it online and finding it on their phones and their travels and their whatever, because you just have to go and check this shit out. It's just like, how can you not?
Yeah, right. I'm going to be interested in seeing some more of those text messages and things between, and those little conversations between people that they now have access to, because those are the things that people weren't censored in their sending, and didn't think that they would get out.
But how stupid would anybody be? Even if it was something about even if it was about whatever, I still watch. It's like, no TV show is going to tell me not to watch something or sort of put that it's stupid. I was like, Wow, that's really like a lot of faith in Fox News. You know, it's kind of gross because why would you ever think that? When you know they sitting up there watching it, trying to come up with how they're going to spin this stuff. Guys, we're in a lot of trouble, but I say now's the time to get your candles and your stuff ready, your gree out, and get ready for what's coming in November because we got to make some changes. We did pretty well in some of the elections, and there's more coming. When's yours, Aisha, in Connecticut?
Which election?
Did you guys have your stuff in March or?
No, we have a late primary. I believe our primary is like in August.
Yeah, I think yours is in August. So these are things we can keep moving forward on. And the more that comes out about the despicable, oof.
Yeah,
She wasn't wrong about deplorables, was she? Yeah. Honey, she when girl said it, deplorables was a perfect word. That means she was fed up to hear by the time she said it too, because a basket full of deplorables.
All we know now is that everything Hillary Clinton said was right. She was right.
So in closing, Almighty is baby. Jen says great conversation. Real Django saying, Aisha, you're totally correct. The vote has to happen and let everyone see how those. He says Republicans vote in favor for the mass shooters. And then Tila finally says, regarding the hearings, I still work from home, so I've got it on unless I'm on a Zoom call. Everyone should try to tune in if they can.
Yeah, that's how I watch it too, Tila. It's like I work from home.
Oh, so a bit of good news. There was a study, and I think everybody should look it up. There was a study that did for 12 people who participated in a study for rectal cancer, and they all did well with this drug.
Yeah, I saw that. They went.
Knock on wood that it goes forward and that they, find out if they all are in remission or if they are going to heal. Thank God. That was really great. It's a new drug that they're doing testing on.
And last comment goes to Cinema Canella saying, yes, Jill, take all the candles, prayers, mantras for the next election.
Yep.
All right. Alrighty. So as always, we had another epic conversation. The ladies rocked the house. And I would just close that Liz Cheney statement about to supporters for 45 saying, 45 will be gone, but you're going to have to live with this for the rest of your lives.
Yes.
I thought
that was very cold.
You're dishonorable.
I was hanging out with my dad all afternoon. We went to an event, like an hour's drive, and he said the two things that stuck out to him about the hearings was that statement, and you call her now Vanki, Jill. Yeah, he's that stuck out. So that was quite more to come. I
wish she'd have had like some shades to put on after she said, and then peace out.
Stop it.
Mic drop.
All right, Jill, how can people get in touch with you?
Jill Jones Music at Twitter and Jill Jones Music. Twitter is Jill D. Jones and Jill Jones Music at Instagram. And it's Jill Jones Music also on Facebook for anybody who's still dibbling and dabbling, which a lot of my older friends are. Remember, I just have a thing about Facebook feeling like a cemetery lately. It's like for some reason, and you always got some friend who wants to like update everybody. It's like, damn.
All right.
But God bless everybody.
Staggers.
Stay healthy.
Twitter, Aisha Staggers at Twitter. Every now and then I get on my Instagram at AK Staggers. So.
All right. Good stuff. And if people want to check me out, here's all the places you can do that.
Check me out.
Check me out. Website, email, Facebook, Twitter, and the gram. And next time I'll give you my TikTok handle. So putting some stuff on TikTok also. So as always, we want to thank everyone who watched our conversation live or on the replay. You can watch replays of State of Things with Aisha Jill on the Dr. Vibe Show website, or you can also watch it on YouTube and Facebook. And check us out. And also subscribe to the Dr. Vibe channel so you can get alerted when we have our epic conversations. All right. We're going to finish off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. So just hold on a second. Tila says, great convo as usual, y'all. Well, we love being on your wall, Tila. We're on your wall, so we're big. And Renata loves the conversation as always. Thank you so much for your help and your Atlanta Falcons support. I saw the logo there. We're gonna finish off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace, and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. We'll see you next week live, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on State of Things with Aisha and Jill. God bless, peace well, keep the faith, and walk good.